All right. Welcome to day 6 of the Juniper Dev Game Jam. Before I get into what I've done since yesterday's stream and what we're working on today, I should apologize. I had accidentally turned on listening to the audio for the desktop and my microphone instead of turning on my desktop and microphone audio yesterday. So, for those of you who tuned in to yesterday's muted stream, I apologize. That was not my intention. But anyway, during that stream, we basically just imported all the animations into the game. There was an issue. I'm sure you probably could have seen it when we were working on it yesterday, but just in case you didn't see it, I do have a video here, or at least I thought I had a video. Maybe it's gone. But the animations would kind of like play outside of the player's controller here. I have since fixed that, and I'll show you what I did to fix that. So let me clear this Blender project. So to explain what the original issue was, let's use the Titan's light combos. If I can find it. Titan combo, here we go. So if we take a look at this animation here, you'll notice that it doesn't start centered. And what's worse is that the direction it's moving is not centered either. Ideally, we want the animation to start at the center of the map, face the direction of this yellow or greenish line here, and remain in place so that way we can make our animation montages out of them for clean combos. That way we can control, through code, how far the player travels per combo hit. Luckily, I did some research through some Blender forums, and this is actually a pretty easy fix. So you just take your skeleton into pose mode, grab this little root bone. Ideally, it should be a root bone. The root bone in my motion captured animations is the hip. So we're just going to select that. And you'll see when you click on that, a little tab called Bone Constraints pops up. For our purposes, the only constraint we're worried about is limit location. And this lets you determine, what are the minimum and maximum coordinates the animation can deviate from, using this bone as a reference for coordinates. So first thing we want to do is make sure the minimum X and minimum Y are checked off, as well as the maximum versions. So now if we play this animation from the start, you'll see that even though the animation is moving like it has been, it's not moving away from the coordinates we established, which is 0, 0. The next thing I did to make sure this faces the right direction was I literally just picked a pose that represented, where forward was. So in this case, 576. For the Titan Heavy combo, there's an ending forward slash. So I would take a top-down view to the skeleton here, and I would just line it up with where I believed forward was. Do that for every animation, export it into the collections like we did, was it yesterday or day before? I think it was day before. And you basically got the new updated animations. So let me demonstrate that real quick. So now, these animations don't jump out. Well, except for there's a couple that still swing out. I just haven't gotten to them. But, yeah. So, I redid all those animations before the stream. The other thing I did before the stream was I started adding sockets to the skeleton of the player, so that way I can start assigning the armor pieces that will spawn when they transform. So you can kind of see it through here. This is really controlled by two things. So obviously we got our static mesh components in the scene. If we go to our construction script, this runs every frame, and basically it just says, you know, this static mesh needs to be attached to our skeleton, and it will do so at this socket name. The socket name is being derived from these sockets here. And you can see the result of that here. Even when our character is moving, all of it comes together. Now, as for which armor pieces are visible at any given point in time, I basically added a node at the end of our henshin sequence that calls on a new event. And it does the same thing as the first one, you know, what's the current form? And then switches based on that. And it decides what undersuit the player character will be wearing, and then what armor pieces are visible, and if they are visible, what are they? So just to demonstrate that, ignore the gun in his hand. That's just something I'm working on. But base form, the hair is visible and he's wearing his businessman suit. Mighty form, he's got red undersuit and he's got gauntlets, knuckles, chest piece, and helmet. Pegasus form, he's got his knuckles, torso, headpiece, left shoulder pad, and green undersuit. And then Titan form, he's got his torso, both shoulder pads, both gauntlets, both knuckles, helmet, and purple undersuit. So there's only a few more things I need to do to finish this up. I just need to, if we go back to, I went too far, models. I believe, yeah, there's the shin guards. I need to add the shin guards and the thigh guards for the Titan armor, as well as a socket for the sword. Pegasus armor, I think I'm done. Yeah, Pegasus armor is done. I just need to set when the gun is visible. Mighty armor, there's some shin guards to do, and then we're basically done. This looks like a lot of work. It really isn't. It's actually pretty straightforward. You know, I can actually just walk through this process using the gun as an example. So I go to the hand that I want the gun to be attached to. So there's our hand. I add a socket here, and then I just, you know, add a preview mesh. Normally this is going to be really out of place, maybe even the wrong size, so I start manually adjusting. You can see the coordinates here. And then once the adjustments are made, just jump back in here, go all the way to the end, say, hey, character has a gun. I want it to be attached to the skeleton under this socket. And then the last thing I need to do is just grab said weapon, set static mesh. Oops. And then because the top row is going to be our businessman form, we don't want that gun to be visible, so we just leave this blank. You might be thinking, well, if blank's the default, why, you know, put it there in the first place? Well, because if we shift between forms, we want it to be made invisible when we're done with it. The gun should be invisible during the second row. The second row is our mighty form, which is our punchy form. The third row is our Pegasus form, which does use the gun, so we want the gun to be visible. And then finally, Titan form. Titan form doesn't use a gun, so we want that to be invisible. Compile and save, and now if we test this, you can see our businessman is not holding a gun. Our mighty form is not holding a gun. Our Pegasus form is holding a gun, and our Titan form is not holding a gun. Pretty neat. Oh, excuse me. Uh, Sorry, I got distracted. Um, but yeah, now that we've got that settled, we can do the sword real quick, and then we'll do the shin and thigh guards. So the sword socket should just be very similar to this. So we can go to our right hand, add socket, and we'll rename this to our sword socket. And then we'll get a preview mesh of the sword. So by default, the model sizes are really big. Blender uses a larger scale when you're 3D modeling. So anytime you import that from Blender to Unreal, Unreal is just like, whoa, this is like the biggest model. There's a way to fix it. I'm just not. It's late. So let's try 0.65. That's the scale I've been using for all the other assets. Unfortunately, I made the sword in isolation from everything else, so looks like that's going to need to be even smaller. Let's try 0.025. That's still too big. How about 0.01? No, that's just too small. It does give us an opportunity to look at the socket though and say that the rotation is off too. So I think this one. Nope, not that one. Is it this one? No. It's this one. There we go. Cool. So how big should the sword be is a good question. If we go to Titan Form Idle, that should be a good reference point for how big the sword needs to be. Because we want our character to hold the sword over his shoulder. Well, I guess it's technically big enough for that, but we also want it to be big enough for swinging. So if we do light combo 3, okay, that's actually pretty insightful. So let's start by moving the sword back a little bit. And up and down. Probably right about there. So that's about -5, -2.5, and -2. Yeah, that looks pretty decent. I'm kind of frustrated that I did not hold my hand the right way at this point. Actually, there's a way to probably tweak it. Well, there's a way to tweak it, but then I have to make a new montage, and I don't want to do that right this second. But the sword is definitely still too small, so we'll go ahead and tweak that further. Let's increase it to 0.02, see what that gets us. Maybe we can do 0.01 on the X and Y axis and keep the Z axis like that. That way we get kind of a long sword. And then just to even it out, we'll bring it down like that, so he's holding a little bit more towards center there. Yeah, now even though his left hand isn't actually holding the sword properly, it still carries the visual, the intended visual of swinging a big old sword. So let's add that to our hero character now. So we'll just duplicate this gun component here. Call it sword. Then we'll copy this. Call this sword socket. grab our sword, put it up here, and then connect this up here. Add a little reroute node so we keep it clean. And now we can test this. Kind of works. We might need to tilt the sword forward, I think. Just kind of exaggerate how he's holding it. So keep this at 90. Yeah, just like that actually. Let's do 25 degrees. And then bring this back in. Let's see this. Wrong form. It's actually kind of a bit better, honestly. Let's go a little bit further. I think 25 is good. Let's try 45. Then we'll just drag this in a little bit more. Oh yeah, that's so much better. Real quick, I just want to see from a better angle how low that sword goes now. Oh, phone just went off. Okay, let's put that over there so I don't have vibrations going through all the time. Honestly, that's kind of good, having it be like waist level. Okay, so now we just need to determine when the sword is visible. The other thing I should probably do before I duplicate any more of these will not be collision detectable. You might be wondering why. Well, first of all, having any engine, for that matter, calculate the collisions for all of these every frame, not a great idea. I know my game's not going to be that complicated, but it's always best to, avoid any potential performance bottlenecks when you can. But also, I'm just going to have the capsule component be representative of the player's hitbox. So that'll probably be what we use anyway. I can also just increase the height of this. And then just... there we go. Oh, I guess that does cause issues, doesn't it? Let's maybe reset this back to 88. There we go. Okay. Anyway, making the sword visible. Again, fairly simple process. Just put this in like that. Like that. Like that. And like that. But for this final one, we make the sword visible. So now we can test this. Sorry, it's really fun seeing these animations actually work. Boom, boom, and boom. Oh, that's so cool. I'm tickled that this is working as well as it is. Okay, now that we got that done, just a few more armor pieces and then we'll be good to roll. So let's start with the left shin. We'll call this the left shin socket. Add preview asset, we'll use the mighty shin guards here. 0.065 should be good. Yep, there they are. So let's set this to 90. Pretty sure they're just under the map now. Yep, there they are. There's a way to move the camera faster, right? It used to be really obvious where the camera controls were, but... Uh-oh. Okay, I thought Unreal was going to crash there. But they moved the camera controls, and I don't know where they are now. So it's hard to kind of zoom around. Yep, I still don't see them. So that's a little unfortunate. Alright, left shin socket needs to move a little more. -25 seems to be a good height for that. -10 maybe? -5. -2. Okay, 0.65 might be too small. Line that up. Let's jump up to 0.07. So let's do -3 here. 23? Oh, 25 is still low, but 30. 30 looks like it might be a little too high. Let's try 26. 28. 29. You know what? 29 actually looks kind of good, so we'll keep it there. -1. 1.05. Maybe we need to angle this a little bit. Not that way. Not that way either. There we go. Something like that should be good. Okay, let's get this in here. Shin left. Mighty shin guards. Attached component to component. Left shin. That's not what it was called. Left shin socket. I knew I was forgetting something. Socket. Compile and save. Now we can see our left shin is attached. So when we run, it follows along. When we combo, it stays in its place. Cool. let's add that to our transformation stuff here. Just like that. Do that. And then I think the Titan form is the only other one with shin guards. So that kind of simplifies things a bit. Yep. And just to make sure that they are coordinated the same. Okay, I can see the shin guard on the mighty form. Yep, and there's the shin guard for Titan form. Oh yeah, fun trick I did with the shoulder pads. Originally, I attached them to the shoulder bone. Turns out the shoulder bone is the entire upper arm. So no matter what I did, they didn't look right. Like when he's holding his arms like that, they would be like pointing into the sky, or when he's got his arms down, they would be pointing straight down. It wasn't great. But I attached them to the collarbone instead, because when you put your arms up like this, your collarbone tends to go up with it too. And that's how they came out looking, you know, more normal. Is it perfect? Not really. But that could just be the limitations of the skeleton I'm using. And honestly, it's not a bad skeleton. I just need to learn more about better motion capture techniques, and better sizing of skeletons to models, yada yada, all that fun jazz. It would also help if I had elbow trackers, which I think I mentioned a few streams ago. I know how to get them for my suit. They're just kind of expensive, so maybe for a future project. Okay, let's get the right shin going. Am I blind? Left shoulder, left arm. Neck, head, right collar. Oh, it's way down here. Right shin socket. There we go. That's much better. Okay, we should be able to use most of the same coordinates, and then just make some minor changes to get the desired outcome. And size 0.7, or 0.07, I should say. 0.07, 0.07, 0.07. And would you look at that? That's pretty close. That is pretty close. Okay, I believe it's this one that controls left to right. Yep. -5. Not quite. Not quite. Let's do -7. Too far. -6. -5.5. 5.25. Nope. 5.75. There we go. Okay. I'm pretty happy with that placement, so let's go ahead and get this all put together here. Shin right. Right shin socket. Let's drink some water here. Ah. And then let's just make sure that that's being attached correctly. I see it there. Nice. Cool. Now we just gotta make sure that it appears on the right forms. Paste that there. Then just hook these up and make sure that the Titan form gets its shin guards. So we can see the shin guards are on both legs there. We see that Pegasus form doesn't have any shin guards. And we can see Titan has both of their shin guards right there. Nice. Alright, 2 more pieces and then we can get to actual... excuse me. Then we can probably start setting up the actual combat mechanics, because that's in dire need of work. Okay, so... left thigh sockets. Oh wow, that's really far away. Let's go 0.7. Oop, that's location, not rotation. I think this needs to be -90. Why is it still so big? Oh, I did 0.7 instead of 0.07. Okay, that's on me. There we go, that looks more reasonable. And -90 was wrong, so maybe 90. And then maybe 180. Okay, maybe that wasn't the way I should have done that. 180. There we go, that's more reasonable. Okay, can we do a little bit of this just to make it straight? So maybe -5 degrees. Bring it in close. Drag it up. Bring it in close again. I feel like that should be good. Oh, well, you know, feelings are one thing. Reality might disagree. Okay, so we need to angle this a little more. I think this angle is fine. It's more so... not you. $85. It's also possible that 0.07 may not be thick enough. Well, it is, so, you know, maybe I'm just wrong. Okay, cool. Let's just slide this in the rest of the way then, I guess. We'll set this to -3. -3.5 maybe. How about 3.25? There we go. 11.5? Nope, 11's fine. Or 10. 10 might be fine. And then maybe 3.5? How about 4? 4 looks doable. This might also still be too low, though. It looks low. We can bring this up a little more. Maybe it'll make more sense once we see it on the character. So let's give him thigh left. Ugh. What's going on? Oh, okay. Attach component to component. Make that the parent. Left by socket. Make sure we snap to target. You can see it looks like it's attached right there. So now if we play, sticking with the player there, it looks a bit loosey-goosey on the correct form, but it's not that bad. It's not that distracting anyway. It does make him look a lot tankier with it, which was the goal, so I'm glad that's successful. Cool, we just need to do this one more time. Thigh right. Right thigh socket. We'll just copy all this. Oh, I did that all wrong, didn't I? Yep, I've been clicking on the wrong thing. Let's try that again. Copy this down here. Copy this down here. And then 0.07, 0.0707. Oh, right, we need a preview mesh. Okay, we're not too far off here, so that's a good sign. So we can do 0 there, maybe negative 85 here. Nope. 95? I'm getting a cramp in my foot. Ugh. Maybe I need to stretch a little bit. Oh. It'd probably help if I didn't have a chair right behind me, huh? Very so. Okay, that should keep me going for a little bit. Let's do 6 degrees here. I did -5 there, so maybe -5 here is actually, or 5 here should be what I need. Keep that there. Let's do 95 here, and then we'll bring this back a bit. Then make sure there's no clipping in the thigh. Now, was there clipping because it's not forward enough, or? Yeah, it kind of looks like it's a little too far forward. So what if we... Yeah, I think that'll do it. I think that'll do just fine. Okay, so thigh right is right there. Let's add a construction script entry for it. Right thigh socket. Alright, let's just do some test work with it. Sticking together there. Sticking together there. Alright. Nice. Cool. Now we just need to add it to our transformation sequence, and then we're basically done with that. Start working on combat. God, I can't believe it took us this long. And then again, this idea was a little too ambitious for a 7-day game jam. If this was like a typical 14-day game jam, it probably would have been fine, but unfortunately, that is not the jam we signed up for. Hell, I still need to come up with a way to spin to win. Maybe I should do that instead, because that might be... that's kind of critical to the game jam. Okay, well, let's make sure that that's all working. That does not look like it's working. Oh, because I only did the right thigh. I didn't do the left thigh on this part. Whoops. Kind of important to make sure that everything is done correctly before you move on. There we go. Down. Alright, now let's check it. Okay. Okay. I'm really happy with how the Titan form came out. It looks great. Cool. Let's get the wheel going. I'm not really sure how I'm going to do that outside of doing it in a widget. So I guess that's going to be our first point of reference on how we're going to do this kind of stuff. Let's go here. Make a new folder. We'll call it widgets. User interface, widget blueprint. We'll call it the Henshin wheel. We should also make an event call that somewhere here, but we'll get there. Or actually, I think I might already have an input key binding for it, just nothing calling it. Form shift, here we go. F. What was I thinking when I made that keybind? Okay. Why was I using this test button this whole time? Okay, Let's do this. I'd like to keep this functionality for now. So form shift. Form shift. We'll change the functionality later, because this is not how it's gonna actually work. But we need the basics first, before we can do anything fancy. Alright, first things first, we're gonna need a canvas. Okay, what options are available to us for a wheel? Common, we have a border, button, checkbox, image, named slot, progress bar, radial slider. What does that look like? Let's make that 500 by 100. Oh, that's cool. Not really what we need, unless we can change the color of each value, maybe. Slide bar color, progress color, handle color. Okay, that doesn't look like we can control that. So we'll take that out. We have a regular slider. Input, spin box. Numerical entry that allows for direct entry of the number or allows the user to click and slide the number. What does that mean? Oh, wait, I think I know what this is, because you can just... Yeah, it's basically this slider right here. We don't need that. How about lists? Visualization list allows up to 1,000 items to be displayed. Item versus entry. The list itself is based on a list of n items, but only creates as many entry widgets as can fit on the screen. So it's just a normal list. Okay. I need spin. I'm not seeing a lot of spin. Primitive? I know this creates a spinning circle, but I don't think it tracks anything beyond that. Number of pieces, period, radius, image, behavior. Yeah, that doesn't really let us do much with that. I gotta think. I want to make a spinner in Unreal Engine's widget system. What if that's my issue? Hear me out. What if we don't need the spinner to spin in the widget, we need it to spin in an actor that comes with a collision? I might sound crazy right now. Let me cook. I might have something here. We'll keep it in the widget blueprint just in case. We need a blank actor. We'll call this Henshin wheel actor. And then we're gonna need shapes. The real question is how to do this. Let's use a cube. And we'll just make it 0.1 thick. Okay. Then I need it to be, I don't know, there? So -50 by -50. Yes. Duplicate it. Cube 1, cube 2, cube 3. So we'll call this base. We'll call this mighty. We'll call this Pegasus. And we'll call this Titan. Cool. So what we're gonna do here, we need to add, can I add a empty scene component? Scene component, here we go. We'll call this the wheel. Make that the children. And then we need a something pointy is what I want, but it doesn't need to be per se, because we could use the cone. Let's just use another cube. And we'll call this the arrow. And it's not part of the wheel, it is its own entity. So now, what we need to do, let's drag this up for now. I need to set, we'll have base form be the top, we'll have mighty form be coordinate 0. I can't see. There we go. Maybe it's more accurate to say coordinate 50. Yeah, there we go. Pegasus will be 50 and 50. And then Titan will be, nope, -50 by 50. There we go. Cool. So let's make a fun little event thing here. We'll just throw this in the level, just so we can see it. And then to help us see what we're working with here, let's get some point lights added. We'll add one to base form and make it blue. Alright, where are you? By -50. We'll grab another point light, add it here. Make it 50 by 50. $300, okay. There we go. Make that one red. Make this light green. Attach it there, which should make it -50 by 50. Pegasus is 50 by 50, so actually, there we go. And then finally, one more light. We'll make this purple. And then Titan is -50 by 50. Cool. Now we can see that, right? Yep, we can see that. That's beautiful. Let's hide the arrow for now. We don't need to see it. And we'll just make a very quick event thing here. We'll use this input actually. Get actor of class. Henshin wheel. We'll make a custom event. We'll call it Henshin. If I can spell Henshin. And then we will add world rotation. Random rotator. I'd like to be able to choose, like, just the Z axis is what I care about. There we go. Random float in range. And we'll just do -180 by 180. I think that should be okay. And then what we'll do to make it better is we will add a timeline. Call it rotation. Make it play from the beginning. We'll add a float track. We'll add a key. It'll be 0, 0. And then we'll add another key at 1, 1. Set the length to 1. So it'll spin for 1 second is the goal of that. I did not think this through. Rotation. Maybe set new set world rotation. Oh, I'm blind. Where's there it is. No, that's not quite it either. Maybe because I need to do you know what? Let's just even make sure that this works. So we see our wheel. I don't think that's working. Oh, you know why that's not working? Because we didn't even hook up the event. You know, kind of important. Can I do an add rotator? Add world rotation. I want to make it smooth, but I'm trying to remember how to do that, and I'm just not quite connecting. Oh, you know what? Because there's no alpha channel for this to work off of. Um, it's fine. It's ultimately doing what we need it to. Like, let's see. Red is currently on the far corner. Red is now in the bottom corner. We can technically just take this out for now. Maybe what we can do is make it repeat for a few times. Like maybe let's make a rotations array. Add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I guess it doesn't need to be a rotator, it can be an integer, but just do a for each loop. Well, you know what we can do? So obviously we want to just control the z-axis to make the spinning happen. Or actually, now that I think about it, we're gonna want this to spawn in the camp player's view, so we probably actually want it to be. We can figure that out later. Anyway, we can make this into a float, and then just do 0, 45, 90, other number 135, 180. I don't know if the order will matter, but or actually, can we just do 45, 45, 45, 45? I'm just curious what that'll look like. Get rotations for each loop. And then just do that. Let's see what that looks like. Well, now nothing's happening, so clearly that wasn't really that interesting. It says add world rotation, so in theory, it should add 45 to the yaw. Unless I was pressing the wrong keyboard button. Nope, that's okay. What if I... Okay, now it's just spinning instantaneously. Is there really not a way to make this... Oh, maybe it's because it's doing it instantly, so maybe if I do a delay at the end. Good question. Print string. Is this working? That's working. It's only running it once. That's interesting, because there's more than one item in the array here. What if we turn this back into a rotator? Turn this into a rotator. Do 45. Let's clean everything. Just do 3, just so we can see if it's working or not. So 45, 45, 45. 4 each loop. It's only doing it once. What if I put the delay before the rotations? And set the delay to 0.5. And then hook up print string. It's still only doing it once. Why would a for loop only do this once when it has multiple indexes to go through? Maybe I should do a for each loop with break? What if I do lerp? That's what I wanted to do. That's literally what I wanted to do. Got add timeline. Rotation. Get rid of the delay, we don't need that anymore. We can do get current, nope, get world rotation. It's gonna get messy real quickly. Let's drag this down here then. So, put this down here. Add a float track. The float track will be 1 second long. We'll add a key at 0, 0, add another key at 1, 1. Bring that track down here. And then we'll just say, well, we can break this one, or split the struct. Bring back our random integer in range. Not integer. Random float in range. Negative 180 by 180. Hopefully that's everything we need. I knew I was forgetting something. Look at that, it spins. What if we did random between 0 and 720? About 360 to 720. And we'll extend the time to 3 seconds. Should give us a little more pleasant viewing of the spinning, I think. What's the game about? Oh, sorry, I didn't see when that message came through. Fly to 20. So the Game Jam's theme is spin to win. We're currently working on the spinning mechanic, 6 days into it, but we're getting there. We're making a beat 'em up where the wheel determines what ability set you have in front of you. So just to demonstrate that mechanic real quick. Not the wheel part, but the alternate forms that you got going on. So we have our little base form here, just a guy in a business suit. All he can do is push his enemies away. Very harmless. We have our fighter form. He can box. We have our gun form. He shoots. And then we have our sword form here, who does heavy strikes. So it's going to be a beat 'em up. We only have like 3 days left to do this, if that. But it's an idea. It's an idea. I probably should have worked on the mechanics for the spinning part sooner, but I spent the first couple days just trying to get the character models ready, rigged, and transfer over all my animations because I shouldn't say had to, I chose to motion capture the animation work. So that kind of put the project behind a little bit. What if we want it to spin a bit, but we don't want to spin too much, and we do want it to be somewhat randomized. So what if we do, let's see, it's 3 seconds. If we do 3 rotations a second, 3 times 360 should be, 9 times 6 is, no, 9 times 7 is 63, so it should be 54. So 360, 540, 9 times, oh my god. Math is hard. Math is so hard. You know what? Calculator time. Okay, so we want to do 3 spins a second. So at minimum, the wheel needs to spin 1080. But we want to have a level of randomness. So we want to maybe add a half rotation in there. So let's do 360 times 0.5. Well, we can actually do 360 times 0.75. So that way we get a 3/4 spin potential, 270. So let's do 270 plus 1080, 1350. God, that looks so fast. There's gotta be a way to slow this down, right? What if we do 3 and 0.5? It's so fast still. I think this will make it faster, but I'm not sure. I cannot tell. What if we do time 3, value 3? Will that slow it down? Not really. Not really. If anything, that kind of made it worse. How about 0.1? I think that looked slower. I can't tell. Okay. What if we just do... Here, break this link. I just want to see one spin, 360. Add 360 to that. And we want you to do it in 3 seconds. Okay. That certainly looked interesting. How about 90 degrees? I don't know why that looks so fast. 45 degrees?5 degrees. Uh, 1 degree? I don't think it's really changing how fast that's going. How about 0.05? I'm so lost. Okay, so we have time 0. What if we do -5? That might have broken it. Oh man, I thought I finally was understanding how timelines worked in Unreal, but I guess I don't, for this project at least. Hmm. Yeah, that just looks like the seizure procedure to me. Let's see, what if I change the actor's tick rate? Maybe like 0.1? Or maybe, let's do 0.5 just to see if that changes anything. I don't know. Let's just do like 1 whole second. I think that kind of works. Hold on. Here, let's drop the timeline concept for a second. What if we just raw, you know, lerp it from that to 0.5. Okay, what if we do 45 degrees? And now it's doing nothing. Interesting. Oh, because the alpha is occupied. Hold on, break that. Let's set it to 1. Okay. What if we set the alpha to 0.5? $100. Not sure about that one. How about event tick delta seconds? Okay, that did nothing. Okay, so there is some merit to doing it this way. We just need to figure out what is causing our issue. Let's try something extreme. Okay. Might be time to look into Unreal's documentation and seeing if there's maybe a better way. Yeah, let's go to track. Float track, vector track, event track. It's a color track. Is there a way I can, there we go. Okay, I don't think that's what we need. It's cool that that exists, but that's not what we need. Time dilation, replicated, loop, autoplay, use less keyframe. If we set 0 to 1, is that maybe gonna help? I put it back to 0. I'm paying attention, I swear. Oh, you know what? That kind of worked. That kind of worked. Hold on. We might be onto something here. Set that back to 5 degrees. Oh my god, there it is. Okay, so the issue was that it was just way too fast. Okay. Let's try 25 degrees. Oh my god, it's actually landing at different results too. This is what we need. Hey, we got spinning wheels. Oh man, that the fact that that took that long to implement, man, that's tough. Well, at least we have something going on for the wheels. Now we just need a way to detect what is what. So, I want all of these static meshes here to just be overlap only. And then we'll move this block here to maybe about, well, first of all, make it 0.5. And then we'll do 50, 100. Let's rotate it to about 45 degrees. Maybe 150. There we go. Then we can turn off hidden in game. And what we'll do is once the wheel finishes spinning, get overlapping components. For each loop. And then we need to find a way to call out what these are and why they matter. So maybe if we do tags, a component tag. So this is the Titan block, so we'll use Titan tag. Pegasus tag. Base tag. And mighty tag. Component has tag. Can we just do get component tag? Ah, shoot. Okay. Component. I just want one tag, man. They're not gonna have that many tags. Okay, let me get a drink of water. It's important to hydrate when thinking about stuff like this. You know what? We don't need to do another for loop because what we can do is just to get a copy. And then equal let's do, we'll make an array. Oh, we don't need to make another array because we already have one that's not being used. In fact, we can repurpose this one. So we'll just component tag, no, tag. Component tags. Promote to variable. There we go. Component tags, that's what I needed. So then what we need to do is we can get rid of this. On event begin play, we need to get this, get this, get this, and get this. Get component tag. Oh shoot. Thanks for the get caffeinated, Ewan. How's the evening going for you? We're finally actually programming mechanics and stuff, 3 days before the game jam ends. So I'm sure you can guess where I'm at. And then just add. I do get a copy. Then add it to this one. Now let's make this look a little cleaner. So what we'll do is grab all these, slide them up there. We'll do that. And just do that for each one, pretty much. Cool. Oh, I'm being silly about this. No, this is probably the best way to go about this, actually. There might be a better way, and I'm just forgetting, but I don't want to get stuck on, you know, cleaning up the layout when I'm still trying to figure out how this is all going to work. Uh, we'll make it work. We'll make it work. Best case scenario, we have so I think I talked about this in a previous stream. I don't remember. But the game jam actually ends at 11 p.m. my time, which means that even though the jam ends on a weekday, I'll still have plenty of time after work to try and get this cleaned up if we get to that point. Is that a bug on my wall? It is not. I'm seeing things. Okay, so we have that. So can we do, get rid of this, grab this, get component tag contains, get a copy. Oh no, not contains, we want to do find. Let's grab another component here. Not component, variable. We want to get the enumeration for our forms here. We don't need it as an enumeration, we just need it as a single variable, please. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll promote this to variable and call it henshin index. And on completion, cast to hero character, get player character, to henshin, and then we can do a select node, add a list of our forms here, and put that index right there. So one thing we are going to need to do is make sure that these component tags are in order. So these are not in order, so that's going to be a problem. So let's do this. Or can we do, just to make sure that this doesn't have any issues during loading, we'll use a sequence node, so that way it has to do this in this order. So first thing you're going to do is add the base form, so that will be index 0. Next you're going to add the mighty form, which will be index 1. Next you're going to add the Pegasus form, which will be index 3. And then finally they'll add Titan form, which will be index 4. Or index 3. I can count. So break that link. Slide that up a little bit so we have some more room. And bring this down here. Make sure we got all the connections set up correctly. Okay, now we should be able to test this, and it should, in theory, work. So when we press our change form button, it'll contact the wheel and say, spin for me. The wheel will spin. Let's make sure we comment these off so I can find this later. This is create forms array. And this one is spin wheel and declare form. Anyway, we press the transformation key and it triggers this event called henshin. In which case the wheel will spin, and when the wheel stops spinning, it's going to ask the arrow component, are you overlapping any components? And if so, what are their tags? And are there tags in your array? If so, which index in the array is it under? Then, once that's done, it'll cast that information to the player character and say, all right, transform, which triggers this event up here, which will change all the animations that the player will be using, and then changing the appearance of the character. So let's give this a spin, if you will. Ha ha ha. All right, spin. Well, that didn't work. Okay, so we're gonna have to do some troubleshooting here. All right, let's use a print string here. Are you even reaching out to the player character? That's the first question. Okay, so it is. Okay, so what is the index you are communicating to the player? That's the next question. Oh, now you work. Oh, that's cool that it actually worked, though. Yeah, even the animations are all synced up. Okay, is it maybe just the blue that's not working? Mighty again. Oh, Pegasus, there we go. I can't believe this is working. Wow. Oh my god, we're back to Mighty again. That's cool. Mighty again. Pegasus. Pegasus again. I wonder if the spin value is too restrictive. Let's see, we currently have it set as 25. So what if I just do random float in range, and we do 5 to 25. Pegasus, okay. Mighty, okay. Phone just went off. Mighty again. Hey, Titan form. There we go. Titan again. Mighty. Mighty again. This is kind of fun in its own way. I'm kind of already getting absorbed with just spinning. Wow, it's actually working. This is so cool. This is so cool. All right, now we just got to figure out how to do a couple other things, I guess. That's so vague. There's so much to do. Let's set up a enemy character so we can test out damage and stuff. Oh, I did yesterday, I think it was. Yeah, it had to have been yesterday. I was trying to test the hit animations, but every time I tried to apply damage to the character, nothing happened. Unfortunately, I'm going to keep learning this lesson every game jam, it seems, because I keep forgetting that if you have apply damage set to 0, Unreal realizes that there's no damage coming through, so there's no reason to freak out. So, for example, right, I have 9 as my apply damage function. So when I hit 9 and it does 1 damage, I have a hit reaction, and then I have a knockdown for when I die. But if I set it to 0, Unreal doesn't even waste time. I always forget this every time I do a game jam, and I don't know why. But at least I know. I need to come up with a death state as well for when I take hits. I have not actually defined a death state. I do anim montage on the knockdown, which is probably not the right thing to do. It probably should just be like play animation and ignore the blueprint. So what if I tried that actually? Play animation. Well, yeah, play animation. Dash. BF knock down. Oh shoot, there's Okay, well at least I know that works. So we can actually promote that to a variable. We'll call it knockdown. Add it to our anims list here. Which means we actually need to go back up here. Or is it right here? It's here. These need to be changed to animations. So we'll just go like that. And that should be all we need to do. So now we can just set up these animations, BF, knockdown, MF knockdown, PF knockdown, and TF knockdown. And then just to test this, change forms. Take a hit, and knockdown. Yep. Cool. So while it's still on my brain, let's jump back to the animations for the base form and fix that knockdown animation real quick. The issue is that my trackers lost me during the last portion of the animation, right about here. So if I just take out those frames, it is no longer an issue. Unreal, what are we doing? Yeah, we should probably take off those first animation frames too. There we go. Now if we test this. Oh, okay. Even though those frames aren't there anymore, that's how we're gonna be. Oh, I edited the wrong animation. This animation. There we go. Cool. Let's update our notes real quick, just so I got it. Corrected animations to be rooted, implemented overhauled animations, created sockets for mesh components during hero forms, implemented static mesh and material changes during henshin. Added wheel spin to decide transformation. Okay, cool. So we have that mechanic in, we just need a way to display that. Well, we also should do the combat, I guess. Is there a way to have two cameras? There's a way to do multiple cameras in Unreal. I just don't remember how I've seen it done before. I've never had to do it myself, so I'm kind of treading new waters here. My idea is I'd like to have a camera that hovers over the wheel, and it's just kind of displayed as an overlay on the character's like HUD, I guess, when they transform. But I'm not sure how I'm all going to do that. Well, I guess we can work on the combat, which is what I was originally going to do as well, so... Oh, there's so much to do. Let's just make a simple enemy real quick. Blueprint class, character, enemy BP. Well, I'll call it enemy parent, just in case we'd use it for more than just the simple stuff. We'll give him our skeleton using our animation blueprint. Make sure we shrink him down. Is it 0.01? Nope. What do I have him sized as? Oh, 0.25. Okay. Okay, and then just real quick, just to make sure we're testing this correctly, event any damage. And what we'll do is we'll print string, and the string will just print how much damage he's taking. Okay, setting up combat now. This is where it's going to get interesting. So we're going to need to start by, what is this, combo hit? Ah, yes, this is what we need to start with. So, let me pull up an example montage here. Light attack montage. So in our montage here, we set up a couple of notifies in here. We have combo hit and combo reset. If we go to our animation blueprint, you'll see that combo hit, it just increases your combo count and undoes pending action, which was what blocks our inputs when we're in the middle of a uncancelable attack. And combo reset just literally resets your combo. We want to have combo hit also trigger in the player, so we can use different hitboxes for the different attack types that the player might use during their forms. So let's do this and do combo hit. Or maybe we should do combo hit at the end. No, that's fine. All right. Alright, so what does combo hit do? Well, first of all, it needs to check what our current form is, because we'll need different types of hitboxes depending on what form we're in. So we'll add a switch on henshin enumeration here. Now for the base form, I think we can get away with using a like a capsule trace or box trace from the player's hands. So we need to set that up. So capsule trace, by channel. And then we're going to want to do from the player's hand, get socket location. I think it's hand in lowercase. Ah, it's R and L hand. Okay, well, that kind of complicates things quite a bit, doesn't it? I guess we could also just kind of use the... When it comes to like melee attacks, like for our fists and hands, maybe what we can do is just... oh god, the words won't come out. Basically just launching a hitbox directly in front of us is what I want to say. So maybe get world location. And then get forward vector. And then we'll just add, well, first of all, let's make this an integer. Or a float, I guess. Let's do 10 units in front of the player just in case, so that way the player doesn't hit themselves. And then we'll just check, I don't know, 100 units in front of the player. We'll have the capsule radius be 50 by 50. And then we'll just draw it for duration, just to see what that looks like real quick. Well, that's not encouraging at all. What if we do world location plus 10? Okay, I'm sensing a theme here. Oh, you know why? I'm silly. These results need to be added. So this, oh my god, this is becoming spaghetti. Stop being spaghetti. Okay, just to explain my thought process. The start position of the capsule is going to be user location plus 50. There we go. 50 units in front of the player is the start location, and then 100-ish units in front of the player, I think, is what I'm doing here. Oh, we're so close. Okay, I think this needs to be a multiplication. To float, let's do 100 here, or maybe 50. Oh my god, we're... What if we just do from the player's location to 100 units in front of them? Because we can use our Ocean War collision solution to avoid hitting ourselves. Where are you getting... Oh, you know what? Instead of using the mesh, that might be the issue, because we did rotate our mesh. Yeah. Okay. Get actor location. Get actor forward vector. Plug those in like so. There we go. Ideally, our hits would be a little farther than that, but at least we got something started here. Let's do 500 units. Let's see how far that goes. That might be a little ridiculous, but yeah, 500 is a bit much, but that's okay. I think that's pretty fair. And then just to give the player some advantage here, let's increase the radius horizontally, so that way the player can hit multiple enemies at once. There we go. See? Pretty neat. Okay, this is going to get really complicated very fast, so we're going to slide this down. Try and group these as closely as possible. So every time the player lands a light attack, we want to break the hit result. Hit actor to apply damage. And we'll just set it to 1. Add the enemy parent to the level. And then we're going to do one more thing just to make sure that we don't have any issues moving forward here. Class defaults, go to tag. Actor tag, here we go. We're going to give him the tag of enemy. Go back to our hero character here. Actor has tag. Enemy. Whoops. Enemy. Branch off. If true, apply damage. Oh shoot, why is he responding to my controls? What the hell? Hit actor has tag enemy. If true, apply damage. Make sure our capsule component for the enemy has collisions turned on correctly. Collision presets, here we go. And that's our issue. We need visibility turned on. And that's not our issue. It's something else entirely. Okay. Current form, base form. That's all correct. Hit actor, actor has tag enemy. Just in case, copy this, paste it here. Okay, how about this? We'll break this branch. Get a print string. What are you hitting? Cube. Okay. Don't know why you're focusing on hitting cubes here. Collision preset custom. Please ignore those. There we go. Just gotta make sure the floor doesn't count as a visible target, I guess. So now... There we go. Cool. So we can push this up here. Can we also do apply impulse? Nope. Impulse. Physics. Huh. We'll figure that out later, I guess. Or we can be cheeky. Add movement input. World direction. Get forward vector. Get, how about self? Get forward vector. Get actor forward vector. I knew I was doing that wrong. Then multiply by -1 and do, I don't know, 50 units. That does not seem to be working. If true, always add the input, ignoring the result. Okay, that's not working. How about move set actor location. And then we can lerp vector. So get actor location. That will be the start. And then -50. Well, yeah, that'll be a good start. Add those together. And then if we look at the wheel actor, we lerped it through our timeline. So we'll just do that, I think. Add timeline component. Play from start, double click, add a float track. We want it to be done in 0.5 seconds. So we'll add a key, 0.51. Then we just apply that to the alpha, apply that to the new location. That was terrifying. What if we do, instead of 0.5 value 1, we do 0.5 value 0.5? He's not moving as much, which is a good sign. How about negative 5? There we go. I think his model might be the result class act mode. We might need to shorten the length of this to 0.15. 0.15, 0.5. And then I was going to say the skeletal mesh is not facing forward. So we need to fix that real quick. 90-degree turn like that should be enough. So that way when we hit the enemy, he's knocked backwards. Cool. And then we need to do the same with our character, so that way our character is moving forward as they launch their attacks. We can do that by just putting it up here, which is going to require more workspace. So let's do this. Comment that off. Grab these light attack controls and we'll slide them down here. All right. So good news, all the light attacks do have the player moving forward, so we can kind of cheat with that. Probably just have it be the first thing that happens, actually. Add timeline. Move forward. Make sure that's always played from the beginning. We want that on finish, I think. No. Oh shoot, we do want this in after the animation triggers. Because otherwise it will either wait to play the animation until the player has moved forward, or it will try to spam the animation until the player has moved to the right location. And we don't want either of those things. So we'll just add it to the end of here. Good news is that we don't need to do an add timeline component for, you know, each one of these. We can just have them combine into the timeline component. Move forward. So we can just kind of plug it up like this. Then we can do get actor location. Set actor location. Get a lerp vector. And then we can just plug all this up. So we're going to start with that location there. Get actor forward vector. Let's assume the player is going to move about, I don't know, 25 units forward? That might be too much, if I'm being honest, but it gives us at least an idea of how this is going to feel. Dive into here. Add a float track. We'll make it 0.5 long and add a 0.5 and 0.5 just to kind of see how that feels. Then we can just plug that into the alpha and give it a whirl. Honestly, not bad. There is an uncanniness to how smooth it is, but oh god. Okay, so it's freaking out because it's getting errors on this. If we just delete that and do that, because I don't think we'll be hitting ourselves anyway. Yeah, we're not hitting ourselves. We're good. I feel like we move a little too far forward. Yeah, it feels a little bit too far. Well, we can fine-tune it later. We need to set up functionality for literally everything first, I guess, huh? Just want to check something one more time. French string says hello if we get hit. Okay, yeah, it is not hitting us. That's good. Cool. God, there's so much to do. The good news is that Mighty Form can kind of just use the same setup here. All we would really need to change is the damage output, which we can do the balancing stuff later. We're gonna need a lot more room. Bring it down a little more. It's a very, very busy blueprint. So let's bring this up a bit. All right, Pegasus form is going to be where it gets interesting, because we can basically take the same information, but we need to change the capsule trace distance. So I think 500 is what we saw earlier, and I think that might be okay. Yeah, let's just to test this stuff out. Let's set the Mighty Form's damage to 5. We'll set Pegasus to 2. So we know this works. Oh, of course we get a form we didn't set up. There we go. That's kind of cool. I feel like we can get away with extending his range a bit. Let's go with that 800, which might be a little too much, but I kind of want to see it. Alright, spin to win! Oh yeah, and you know what? That is actually like perfect distance. Whenever I play gun characters in like character action games like this, that is about the distance I would expect to hit too, so kind of works. Cool. Alright, let's set up Titan form. Oh, I forgot to test if the Mighty Form was working. Whoops. Let's do that, if we can. We're spinning on a wheel here. So we know that's 1 damage. That's 10 damage, so that's correct. That's 5 damage, so that's correct. And that's 2 damage. Nice. I'm so happy we got this all working. Alright, added wheel spin to the side transformation. Added hitboxes for player attacks, or light attacks, I should specify. We haven't done heavy attacks yet. Oh, we added knockbacks. Added knockbacks for light attacks. That's another thing we're gonna have to specify somehow. Maybe if we make damage classes here, which I don't know much about, but maybe we can find out together real quick. Let's see. Maybe it's in the regular blueprint class thing. Go to all classes and do damage. Damage type, here we go. So we'll call this light attack damage. Okay. Excuse me. We'll add a float called knockback distance. Light attack damage, and then if we go back to our enemy parent here, there is a damage type. Damage. Oh, I have to cast it? Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So if we... Can I do is equal to? Ooh, this is going to get complicated very fast. I might need to look into how to set up damage types correctly. Because I don't want to have to set up branches just to say, like, if damage type this, then do this. What if we do event damage, point damage? No. Damage, 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 damage. Yeah, definitely something to look into. But my idea was to, you know, get knockback distance and plug it in here. But maybe we'll cross that bridge when we get there for now. Because otherwise, we do have other stuff we need to set up. And we are running out of time for the stream. Okay, I have a lot of windows open that might be contributing to the computer slowing down quite a bit. So we'll close some of the tabs we're not using. Okay. We've got the light attacks mostly set up. I think for Titan, I'd want to give him a wider radius and distance as well, just to give him a small buff considering he's struggling. And he's got a sword, so he should be able to reach further anyway. So maybe 500 and a radius of 200. Let's try that. See what that looks like. Nope. 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 Oh my god. I'm having fun, but I need to... I really need Titan, please. It's funny that the enemy is just like matching my energy. Oh my god, that was so close. Come on. There we go. Oh yeah. That'll make him a bit better. Let's set up the heavy attack stuff then. So we'll call this light attack combo hit. Let's give this a distinct color. Okay, where is the heavy attack? There it is. So we need to do basically the same thing, but for heavy attacks. So we can do custom event, heavy hit. Grab the current form, switch. Yeah, switch. And then we're gonna grab pretty much all of this actually. We're gonna need to change some of the information in there, but for the most part, it's gonna be functionally the same. Okay, zoom in a little bit. Last thing we need to set up, and I think might be the last thing we do for the stream, is just making sure that we set up a way for the animation blueprint to call this out when the heavy hit notify goes off. So we'll go here, go to animations. Nope, blueprints. There it is. So heavy hit, heavy hit, heavy hit. There it is. So we need to drag this out and do heavy hit. And that should be all we need to do to make the heavy attack work. Boom. That seems to be working. Oh shoot, that's the one thing we need to do for Pegasus. Pegasus has a unique thing going on here. Which reminds me, we need to set up this for the heavy attacks too. That's what I was looking at for. I'm forgetting stuff. It's all fun. Luckily, this is actually pretty straightforward. Equal Pegasus form. Because Pegasus's heavy attack is supposed to be a kind of a retreat shot. So that's the only one that's kind of unique. So we'll just grab this, paste that here. So this is the lunge forward thing. I think heavy attack should make you lunge a little bit more forward. So maybe we're at 25 currently, maybe 30. It's not a huge difference, but maybe enough for some people to feel it. And then we'll drag this down, paste this down here. And we'll make Pegasus negative 25. I might have, maybe I should have swapped this around. Because if true, Pegasus will retreat shot, and if false, the other characters will lunge forward. So let's test that. Big push. Alright, transform me. Nice. Hey, there we go. Nice. So now the heavy attacks have mobility as well. And I think that's all we're gonna have time for today. I got some things to get ready for IRL stuff, and then we'll pick up again tomorrow. I cannot believe we're already gonna be at 2 days left of the jam, but I mean, we learned a lot, or I at least learned a lot, you know, how to transfer mocap animations to skeletons, proper weight painting. Again. This is my first hack and slash kind of game I'm making, so that's kind of exciting, having melee attacks be a thing. Um, Hopefully we'll make it in time. If the game is not ready to go by the time the game jam wraps up, I'll work on it a few more days after the jam and make a playable version that will be submitted outside of the jam. Because if it's not good to go, I'm not going to submit it to the jam and waste people's time. Heavy attack. There we go. Heavy attack hit is what that should be called. Whoops. Heavy attack hit. Anyway, that's all we got time for today, so I'll go ahead and call it here. As always, thanks to everyone who tuned in. Whether you're just kind of lurking in the background through a couple chat messages or, you know, just happen to scroll by and see me for 5 seconds, it's always appreciated. And I will see you guys